Hello, I'm Nakara. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a UK hardcore / hardcore rave bass using FL Studio's Harmor. The finished bass is going to sound like this. That's a simple bass line I programmed in. Anyway, first thing I want to do is get a new instance of Harmor. I already have one, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. And I'm going to put in the same bass line right here, but using this Harmor as the generator. So the first thing you want to do when you get to Harmor is change the mix all the way to the right. It's going to make it a square waveform. Now we're going to want to change the waveform around a little bit. So what we do is go to local EQ. And what this does is it works like an EQ, but a little differently. Since Harmor's an additive synthesizer, you're actually going to change the waveform using the changes you make here. The left side represents bass, and the right side represents high end, and the middle is the mid range. So anyway, you're going to want to put a little bit, a point right here. Then you want to grab the farthest one to the left, and then just move it up 2 ticks. And this is going to add a little bit more sub to the bass. So now it's going to sound a little like this now. So it's basically a boring square waveform with a little more sub than normal. So after you've done that, you're going to want to enable part B by clicking this little button right here. Click that, and then go into part B. Raise the octave by 1 by turning this guy right here. So switch that to 2. And that'll make it an octave above the above part A. So now when you play it, it sounds like this. Oh, also, you're going to want to keep this as a saw. So all the way to the left. Next, you're going to want to use the unison. And what this does is it basically stacks a bunch of voices on top of one another. And they'll be slightly out of phase and pan differently and whatnot. It makes the sound wider. So we're going to set this to 3. We're going to switch the mode from blurred to classic, and we're going to put the pan all the way to 0 because we don't want any stereo in the bass. We want it to be monophonic. So then you want to go to harmonic unison pitch in the little the envelope settings. So go down here and then go to harmonic unison pitch. And what this is it affects the phase of the frequencies you're using. So like over here is the high end and down here is the low end. So if you add more here, like this, it's going to have a greater effect on the high end than the low end. And if you add more here, it's going to have more effect on the unison is going to have more effect on the bass on the low end. So what we want to do is we want to just move it down like that. It's simple. So if we mute part A, this is what part B sounds like with the unison we just did. Not too great, but it'll work. Next, we want to adjust the unison pitch, this guy. So grab that and then just move it around. Now, I'm going to move around a little bit and show you how much of a big difference just like 1% can make and how it affects your sound. So yeah, so anyway, look over here to the your upper left and then move this slider until it says 47. There we go. And that's the sound I thought worked best with this bass. All right. So go back to part A and set the phase over here, the start position of the phase, to 195. And this is going to put it slightly out of phase with part B, so now they won't start playing at exactly the same time. Okay, now go back to part B, and we're going to add a little bit of some filter movement to the high end. Just give the bass a little bit of movement. So set this to classic low pass. And then we're going to want to adjust the width of this. And what this will do is it basically does what it says. It affects how wide the sound is. So I just should demonstrate that. I'm sorry, I said how wide the sound is. I meant how wide the filter is. Anyway, we want to set this to 75, and we want to put the cutoff at 80. I don't remember if I said this, but switch it to classical opacity. And then after that, you're going to want to right-click on the frequency knob and hit Edit Articulator. And then we're going to want to enable it by clicking this button, and then we're going to click Tempo. And what this does is if you zoom out, each of these represents a beat, and then this thicker line represents a bar. So yeah, beat, 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 1 bar, beat, 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 2 bar. And what this will allow you to do is to adjust the articulation of this knob in accordance to the song's tempo. So what you want to do is you want to create a point here and then move this all the way up to 100%. What that's going to do is it's going to set this knob up to 100 and then move it down to where you last left the knob. So it's going to set it from 100 down to 80. And that's going to sound like, it's going to sound like this. Oh, whoa, too long. Ooh, that's what you want to do. I got zoomed out and there we go. As you can see here, it adds a little sweep down in the frequencies. Now, you want to go back to part A, enable it, if it's off, and then go to, leave this as a crude low pass, and then we're going to do the same thing with the filter. Set it to 80, and then we're going to put the width at 75. All right. Oh, it's already down there. So, wow, okay, what am I doing? Do the same thing. Also, you can bypass having to turn it on here by just hitting tempo, and it'll just turn the whole thing on. So, make it the same shape as the last one. Alternatively, you could just do this. You can go over here. That was my phone. Sorry. You can go over to part B and hit copy state, and then just paste it over here. There you go. Now, the whole bass altogether at this point is going to sound like this. Not great, but it's almost there. We just need to adjust one last thing, or two more things. We're going to set the mix here to about 30%. So it's going to be mostly A and then only a little bit of B. So now it sounds like this. It's pretty close to what I showed you at the beginning. So next you want to go, well, lastly, you want to go to FX, set this to soft saturation, put the filter cutoff all the way open so it affects the entire signal, and then don't mess with the mix or the wet, and then just change the amount to about 40%. Then there you go. There's the bass sound. Let me show you that in context with a kick drum that I added in. So this is what it sounds like with a kick drum. There you go. Pretty basic offbeat UK hardcore bass. Now, if you want to do like a more kind of like hardcore rave sidechain bass, you're going to want to do this. So highlight this, and then rather than adjusting the mixer knob for the track that the bass is on, I like to adjust this knob over here, this volume knob right here. Yeah, that one. Create automation clip, copy the value of the first point, create another point, drag it all the way down, make another point right here, and then hit paste value. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. You're going to want to grab all your notes, move them over to the beginning, and then stretch them out so that they fit across one beat. Okay, so after you've done that, you're also going to want to go into your patch here, and then drag this from a half a beat to a full beat. I'll just slow down the how fast the filter works because the note is longer. All right, so now it should sound something like this. To make it a little more sharp, take this and lower it to about, I don't know, 15%. Now it should sound like this. All right, then grab that and then copy it over your entire bass line. And this is what it sounds like with the kick drum. And that's it. You have yourself a pretty nice hardcore bass. And that's it. I hope this tutorial was helpful, and I will see you later.